So, sir, welcome to collegedunia.com. Since, sir, you have been holding a very key position in Cinetic Business School, sir, how have been your professional career in this, and what is the inspiration behind that you have been into this education sector?
First of all, thank you, Mr. Jishan, for giving me this opportunity to talk to College Dunya. And education has been in the limelight, especially after the new education policy came up in India. India has been at the forefront of upgrading the education because what has happened in India in the last 20 years, despite a very large population, Indians have shown that they have the knowledge quotient and they can compete with the best in the world. I have worked for more than 20 years in the Middle East and other parts of the world, and everywhere I've gone, I've seen that Indians, be it in the IT field, be it in the medicine field, be it in the general management field, they have excelled. Both, despite the fact that we have been having a lot of criticism of the Indian education policy, but despite that, Indians have done extremely well wherever you go all over the world. So coming back to your question, it is a challenging time for education. For me, I have been in this. I have been in the education field because of my background. My father was a dean in the Punjab Agriculture University. He has been on the board of many companies. So the way I see education, I see education as something which delivers back to the society. Unfortunately, some of our education institutions and the education per se has failed in doing that because we have been churning students with paper degrees, which lack the basic, I will say, the ethics of working in the education in the field when they go, as well as they lack the emotional quotient. And this has come up very well during this last 6 months of uncertainty, which has been brought up by the coronavirus pandemic, and how the total education, not only the education, the entire socio-economic field has changed, not only in India, but all over the world.
Sir, moving ahead, how has been your philosophy of leadership, sir, right in the university? What do you think about how leadership should be for running a very good institution?
Whatever I have learned during my MBA long time back, leadership style, as we know, there are different kind of leadership style, and there is no one single leadership style which is successful or which is a failure, based on many aspects in which the way the leader sees how to manage the team and how to bring to life the vision which they have seen for their organization. Right from the days of MBA, we have studied various leadership styles. I have seen a lot of leaders who used to come to our house, most of them corporate leaders, be it from the Hero Group or the Trident Group or the Worthman Group or the other industries. My 20 years in Middle East, I have seen different kind of leaders, some very strong, very autocratic, some very democratic, some leaving the decision making to the subordinate, some leaders who don't act on their own but develop followership, but other leaders are leading from the front. We can't say one leadership style is better than the other. The way I try to manage in this college, in this university or college, it's not a very big one, but based on my experience working in the corporate world, is trying to empathize with the team and giving them full authority to act. Because I have seen leaders who, when they decide and fail, they say it is nothing. They say, please ignore it. But when the team decides and fails, they create a lot of humility. Yes. So it is a dual standard. We have to give the equal opportunity to a team. So my style of leadership has been mostly participative, but guiding and leading. Because at the end of the day, a leader is not, as somebody said, I think Jack Welch has said that if you are a leader, your job is not to distribute sweets. It means that your job is not to make everybody happy.
Right.
Because when you are a leader, you have to take certain strong decisions, certain tough decisions, like we had to take during this recent coronavirus pandemic when all of a sudden the college was closed. But over a period of time, you have to make sure that your team is comfortable with you, and a leadership which is a leadership with a purpose and never forgetting the vision behind it. Because I have seen leaders who will use unethical practices to get things done. Leaders who will cut the corners to get things done. Because I always believe in the philosophy of our prophet and of Mahatma Gandhi also said, means is equally important than end. In today's world, end is becoming very important. What means you are using to achieve it is not so important, because people see you as successful, a successful leader, a successful businessman, a successful educationist, but they don't see how you have achieved it. But for us, we believe in holistic education. So my leadership style is one which has to be ethical and carries my team along with it.
Right, sir. So, sir, how Synetic Business School, how are you trying to strategize the programs for marketing and administration of your school?
Since the very beginning, we established this school in 2004, and our motto has always been education with a purpose. Okay. For example, I remember in the school a quote from Abraham Lincoln which said that education is not about earning money, education is about what you do with that money.
Yes.
So we have always been focused on holistic education and trying to make sure that whatever knowledge, skills, habits we form in our students, because we get a student when he already have 18 or 20 years of education in the school, in the college before, if they are coming to us for postgraduate, or if they are coming to us for undergraduate program, they have already had almost 18 years of building. Okay. In Urdu and Arabic, we have a term, Taaleem or Tarbiyat. Taaleem is education, Tarbiyat is upbuilding. So the whole total of the students depend on both the things. So our focus is to make sure that our teachers as well as faculty, because we can't see the faculty and the students and the curriculum in adiabatic system. They are part of the whole society. So holistic education is our motive, and we focus on all the four elements of what we call CASH: knowledge, skill, attitude, and habit development. Just having the knowledge is not good enough. So most of the time in the curriculum, we are just trying to inculcate knowledge into the students. We come to the class, we teach the lectures, follow the syllabus, the prescribed curriculum, and make sure the students get through the examination, and after 3 years or 4 years get a degree, and then we get them a job. That is the simple way how it goes in India and in most countries. But we always try to make sure that majority of our students develop on all the four areas, and for that a lot of practical learning has to go into it, because a lot of gaming has to go into it, a lot of mock play has to go into it, because developing habit and developing the right attitude takes a lot. That's why we focus both on emotional quotient, which is most of the IQ a student is getting is already he has got from his parents immediately and what he has learned. But giving him the right emotional quotient is something which we work with. It's successful based on how the student takes it. So it requires a lot of practice itself from the student. So to answer your question in short, we try to make sure that we mix the knowledge of the book with the practical learning and exposure by sending the students to the industrial visits, to orientations, to internships, and these a lot of opportunities are there online as well, through which the student can learn and even the faculty can learn, because most of our faculty is very, very young. They also have to be exposed to the industry, to the socio-economic patterns, to the culture. So education per se of getting degree, since 2004 we have not been there thinking like that, and we are trying to. It's a tough job. It's very hard to make sure, because most of the students, many students are still not interested. They are just interested in class mein aaye, exam dein, degree le aur chale jaye. But the others who really want to learn. Even during the lockdown, we have tried to do that, and hope we will succeed.
Okay, sir. So, sir, the Indian education system, and if I talk about the education system in foreign, that is very much different. So, how students can have an inbound gain if they are studying at Synetic Business School?
Now, when Jishan was saying about Indian and foreign, because as I said, I have remained abroad for more than 20 years. I have a lot of friends and colleagues as well as my class fellows who are teaching in Canada and US. Okay, a couple of my family members are also there. Now their way of teaching is more practical only. Right from the nursery class, they are giving a lot of hand job. Like my sister's son is studying in New York in a public school in Manhattan. I've seen the way they teach is everything they teach on the board, on the blackboard. They make sure that the student practice by hand. Simple skills like team building. Simple skills like communicating. Simple skills like how to wish. Okay? Like for example, in India, we always say, respect the elders. Don't lie. So we sermonize. A lot of sermonization takes place. But what is the end result of the sermonization? Okay? The end result of sermonization, are we becoming a more ethical society? No. My 3 years back in India from abroad, I've seen that the level of ethics, the level of honesty has gone down drastically, even in what we call young minds, even in schools. Lying is common, but that's another topic we can debate it later on. But getting students to do things with their own hand, more practical orientation is something which is lacking in the Indian education system. The new education policy which has just been introduced by the government of the day is trying to make sure that these things which are only bookish, they are turned into practical. More flexibility is given to students to learn different aspects, but how it is executed is to be seen. The practical orientation in the students is a must, right from the very early days. Not कि बस्ता उठाया, स्कूल गए, वापस आया, homework किए, अगले फिर स्कूल गए. That mill has to be broken.
Right.
And many schools are doing it. Many playways are doing it in India. A lot of these online education portals, which are teaching by example, we are teaching by modeling, is also changing it.
Right.
And as the curriculum develops, it will change. And if it will not change, because education per se, the system of schooling is having a drastic change. Now today, a student does not need a teacher. Everything is available online. So teachers are becoming redundant. So what value a teacher can add, what value the curriculum of the university can add, what value the university or college itself can add is becoming a big question mark. Because everything is available online. Why do we need libraries? For example, why do we need libraries in schools?
Yes, sir.
Or in colleges? Okay, so sorry, a call came.
No, sure.
So that has to change drastically. And because the technology is moving much ahead, much faster than the curriculum, it is a challenge. So we have to adapt to it.
Right,
and the sooner we adapt, the better. The better the Indian education system will be, the better equipped the Indian students will be.
Right, sir.
And for that, the biggest, I will say, criteria is training the teachers. Today, students are more internet savvy than many of my teachers. And teachers are being asked to take online classes.
Yes, sir, right. So, sir, if I talk about this teaching practices which has been going on, so how Cinetech Business School is ensuring that the best practices of the education is being implemented?
Frankly, we are limited by resources, but we try to make sure that our teachers, they move away from books and teach by concept, benchmark the best teaching practices available across the world, because this one area has been changing very fast, and necessity is the mother of invention. We have been talking about online education for many decades, if not decades, at least for 10, 15 years in India. There have been a lot of online courses as well. But the coronavirus pandemic, it gave us a blessing in disguise of the power of internet and the power of online education. Now, it looks to me, even these big campuses we are building, some of them will be redundant. Because a lot of things which we do in the campus, we don't need campuses to do that. Because normal classroom teaching can happen anywhere now. So the teachers have to be up to date on each and every aspect. And also the teachers have to make sure, because many teachers we have, they know the concept, they don't know how the concept is practiced in real life.
Yes.
Because they came from the college, their own college or university, did their MCom or MBA or PhD, straight into teaching. They have not seen the practical world of the institution, of the manufacturing industry, of the service industry, of how the world is moving, how the technology has changed, and how fast the technology will change in the coming days. So interactivity is one thing which we try to teach the teachers.
Right.
How to be interactive. And similarly for the students, my first priority for the teachers and the students is to be a thinker. Use your mind to think. Because nowadays having knowledge as a memory is getting redundant. Because 20 years, 30 years, 40 years, 100 years back, somebody who had a very strong memory was considered to be very knowledgeable. Because he could memorize things. But today this memorization is not very important because your laptop, your mobile can memorize. I don't remember any mobile number than my own mobile number. So memorization is not that important, although having a memory helps to sharpen your brain. But how can you analyze and think? How can you analyze and get solutions out of the box? That is what makes a difference. That is why today countries who are ahead from others are ahead because, take the example of USA for example, or some of the European countries like Germany for example, or Singapore for example. Why they are ahead of the others? Because they are able to innovate, they are able to bring out new things. Indians are doing that, but India is still very far away in it. But certain areas like pharmaceuticals and IT, Indians have done great in India as well as abroad. So my main, to answer your question in short, is to make sure that teachers are thinking minds and they make the students have a thinking mind. Because these days, just delivering classroom lectures or online lectures has become very easy. Most of the teachers go to Wikipedia and just can download and teach. So Wikipedia teaching, there are a lot of jokes on the internet about it. But how you can make think, analyze, so and question things. Unfortunately, we have started questioning. Yeah. Questioning the status quo is questioning everything, so that you become. And reading is one thing which is going out. Reading is again very important.
Right, sir.
So because of so many things, YouTube lectures, online lectures, recording, people are using the art of reading. Reading is very important because reading makes you think. Reading makes you dream.
Right, sir.
So that is one area we need to concentrate. Very simple because, most of the big things in life come from simple things.
Right, sir.
My father has been a great teacher. He always say for teachers, there is nothing more important than a blackboard. Right. Or a whiteboard, as you said.
Sir. So, sir, Synetic Business School, what do you think would be the top most priority in the next 10 years? How you want to take it ahead?
We want to, 10 years is a long period to say, because today uncertainty is so high that even companies don't plan for more than 3 years. But we always will aim, our aim has little shifted in the last 7-10 years, because there are a lot of good institutions in India and abroad who can teach very bright minds, who can teach students with very high IQ, who can teach students coming from upper middle class and middle class strata. While we have shifted is to teach students who are coming from those strata of society where they cannot get quality education at an affordable price. Yeah, meritocracy is important, but not every student will be meritorious, and not every student will get a job in Google or in Facebook. Not every student will be that intelligent or that the destiny that he will become a Sundar Pichai or the guy who is leading Microsoft India in the world. So there are large number of students who will be stuck in between. And in the bottom of the pyramid. So we are working on those students who are stuck in the bottom of the pyramid, either because they can't afford quality higher education or who can't think beyond doing graduation. We have a program in our college called First Generation Graduates, which came not by design but by accident. When I came back from abroad, I saw that many students are coming from backgrounds whose parents are either illiterate or they have not gone to college. So we have First Generation Graduate program for girls and boys, and where we try to encourage them to at least become graduates, even if they want to go back to the trade of their father, become a carpenter or become a vegetable vendor, there's nothing bad in it. Okay, not everybody will get a white collar job. The biggest problem of Indian unemployment today is educated unemployment, because every student who graduates or who postgraduates want a white collar sitting table job in a AC chamber. That cannot happen in a country like India. Still, a large number of people will be working in unorganized sector. Despite the 75 years of independence, a bulk of our labor force is in unorganized sector.
Right, sir.
Bulk of our labor force is not even in PF. So that is one area we want to work and give them the right skill so that they can be gainfully employed. And our focus is on, we are starting a business incubator this year so that students who can't get jobs, they become entrepreneurs.
Right.
That is our focus.
Yes, sir. So, sir, what do you see as the biggest challenge in higher education at current point of time?
The biggest challenge in higher education is quality of faculty and people who are dedicated to education.
Yeah.
We have a lot of disciplines we have created a lot of disciplines in education, but how we use the education to bring a change in the society, how that education is making us a better citizen, how that education is making us a better human being, how that education is helping us to create a better society is missing. Not only in India it is missing more, not only in India, all over the world. If our education system, despite spending billions of dollars, yes, is not making us better human beings, that education system is not serving its purpose. That is the biggest challenge of higher education, that our higher education should serve a purpose of making us better citizens and making our country a better country. We have seen a high amount of intolerance in India, and I have seen a very high amount of intolerance among educated people who are doctors, engineers, PhDs, in the last 3 years, which has totally disheartened me. And this is increasing in India more. So how we can have God-minded Indians who can argue and who can agree to disagree? That is the biggest challenge of higher education on the social side, on the humanity side, and on the science and technology side. We have not been able to get our right talent to stay in India and do the research and development to get the patents like what Chinese have done. Yes, we have done a little bit in the area of medicine, but not that much. Okay, all some other countries have done. Apart from, we have success stories of USA and Europe, but in India, in the Asian world, what Chinese or Singaporeans or Koreans or Japanese have done, we are still lacking.
Right, sir. So, sir, so that was a great session, sir. So, to conclude it, sir, what message would you like to give to the youth? Because a lot more students are right now having queries for admissions and for they are very much curious about their careers. So, what is the message would you like to give to the youth who would be watching this video?
Two simple messages: never lose hope and enjoy to take every opportunity life gives. But what I have seen here, the youth, I don't know, I don't have a very big sample, that today's youth is very much in his or her comfort zone. Apart from some, they are very happy with the status quo. When I was young, we were never happy with the status quo. We always wanted something different, something new. But it may be good because I'm happy, I'm enjoying my life. I don't want something big to happen in my life. But having higher aspirations in life and never being hopeless are two messages for the youth, and they have to work for it. Okay. Because most of the youth I am seeing today are happy in their comfort zone. So never be hopeless, always be hopeful and try to get out of your comfort zone. Only then you can achieve success. Whatever your definition of success, whether it is money, whether it is fame, whether it is designation, whether it is happiness, that's my message.
Okay, sir. So thanks a lot, sir, for this session. It was a very wonderful session and a very informative and encouraging one. So,
Thank you, Prashant, for giving me the opportunity. And all the best to you and to College Union.